Chapter 15. 100 Words. There was something peculiar afoot, that was sure. Colonel Glockter tested his limbs, but he appeared unable to move. The sun was blinding bright in his eyes. "Did we beat the Gurkish?" he asked.
"We certainly did,"
said Haddish Kadia, leaning over into Glockter's field of view.
"With God's help, we put them to the sword, butchered them like cattle."
The old native went back to chewing on the severed hand he held. He'd already got through a couple of fingers. Glockter raised his arm to take it, but there was nothing there, only a bloody stump chewed off at the wrist. "I swear," murmured the colonel, "it's my hand you're eating." Kadia smiled.
"And it is entirely delicious. I do congratulate you."
"Utterly delicious," muttered General Visbrook, taking the hand from Kadia and sucking a strip of ragged flesh from it. "Must be all that fencing you did as a young man." There was blood smeared across his plump, smiling face. "The fencing, of course," said Glockter. "I'm glad you like it, though the whole business did seem somewhat strange." We do, cried Verms. He was cupping the remains of Glockter's foot in his hands like a slice of melon and nibbling at it daintily. "All four of us are delighted. Tastes like roast pork." "Like good cheese," shouted Visbrook. "Like sweet honey," cooed Kadia, sprinkling a little salt onto Glockter's midriff. "Like sweet money," purred Magister Ida's voice from somewhere down below. Glockter propped himself up on his elbows. "Why? What are you doing down there?" She looked up and grinned at him. "You took my rings. The least you can do is give me something in return." Her teeth sank into his right thigh, deep in like tiny daggers, and scooped out a neat ball of flesh. She slurped blood hungrily from the wound, tongue darting out across his skin. Colonel Glockter raised his eyebrows. "You're right, of course. Quite right." It really hurt a great deal less than one would have expected, but sitting upright was rather draining. He fell back onto the sand and lay there, looking up at the blue sky. "All of you are quite right." She had made it up to his hip now. Giggled the colonel. "That tickles." What a pleasure it was, he thought, to be eaten by such a beautiful woman. "A little to the left," he murmured, closing his eyes. "Just a little to the left." Glockter sat up in bed with an agonizing jerk, back arched as tight as a full-drawn bow. His left leg trembled under the clammy sheet, wasted muscles knotted hard with searing cramps. He bit down on his lip with his remaining teeth to keep from screaming, snorted heaving gasps through his nose, face screwed up with his furious efforts to control the pain. Just when it seemed that his leg would rip itself apart, the sinews suddenly relaxed. Glockter collapsed back into his clammy bed and lay there, breathing hard. Damn these fucking dreams. Every part of him was aching. Every part of him was weak and trembling, wet with cold sweat. He frowned in the darkness. There was a strange sound filling the room, a rushing, hissing sound. What is that? Slowly, gingerly, he rolled over and levered himself out of bed, hobbled to the window, and stood there looking out. It was as though the city beyond his room had vanished. A grey curtain had descended, cutting him off from the world. Rain. It spattered against the sill, fat drops bursting into soft spray, throwing a cool mist into the chamber, dampening the carpet beneath the window, the drapes around the opening, soothing Glockter's clammy skin. Rain. He had forgotten that such a thing existed. There was a flash, lightning in the distance. The spires of the great temple were cut out black through the hissing murk for an instant, and then the darkness closed back in, joined by a long, angry muttering of distant thunder. Glocta stuck his arm out through the window, felt the water pattering cold against his skin. A strange, unfamiliar feeling. "I swear," he murmured to himself.
"The first rains come."
Glocta nearly choked as he spun around, stumbled, clutched at the wet stones around the window for support. It was dark as hell in the room. There was no telling where the voice had come from. Did I only imagine it? Am I still dreaming?
A sublime moment. The world seems to live again.
Glocta's heart froze in his chest. A man's voice, deep and rich. The voice of the one who took the Voost? Who will soon take me? The room was illuminated by another brilliant flash. The speaker sat cross-legged on the carpet. An old black man with long hair. Between me and the door. No way past, even if I was a considerably better runner than I am. The light was gone as soon as it arrived, but the image persisted for a moment, burned into Glocta's eyes. Then came the crash of thunder splitting the sky, echoing in the darkness of the wide chamber. No one would hear my despairing screams for help, even if anyone cared. "Who the hell are you?" Glocta's voice was squeaky with shock.
Yolway is my name. You need not be alarmed.
"Not alarmed? Are you fucking joking?"
If I had a mind to kill you, you would have died in your sleep. I would have left a body, though.
Some comfort. Glocta's mind raced, thinking over the objects within reach. I might make it as far as the ornamental tea jar on the table. He almost laughed. And do what with it? Offer him tea? Nothing to fight with, even if I was a considerably more effective fighter than I am. How did you get in?
I have my ways. The same ways in which I crossed the wide desert, traveled the busy road from Shaffa unobserved, passed through the Gurkish host and into the city.
And to think, you could have just knocked.
Knocking does not guarantee an entrance.
Glocta's eyes strained against the gloom, but he could see nothing beyond the vague grey outlines of furniture, the arched grey spaces of the other windows. The rain pattered on the sill behind, hissed quietly on the roofs of the city below. Just when he was wondering if his dream was over, the voice came again.
I have been watching the Gurkish, as I have these many years. That is my allotted task, my penance for the part I played in the schism that has split my order.
Your order?
The Order of Magi. I am the fourth of Juven's 12 apprentices.
A magus. I might have known, like that bald old meddler Bias, and I gained nothing but confusion from him. As if there were not enough to worry about with politics and treachery, now we must have myth and superstition to boot. Still, it looks as if I will last out the night at least. A magus, eh? Forgive me if I don't celebrate. Such dealings as I've had with your order have been a waste of my time at best.
Perhaps I can repair our reputation then. I bring you information.
Free of charge?
This time, the Gurkish are moving. 5 of their golden standards passed down the peninsula tonight under cover of the storm. 20,000 spears, with great engines of war. 5 more standards wait behind the hills, and that is not all. The roads from Shaffa to Ul-Katif, from Ul-Katif to Delepa, from Delepa to the sea, all are thick with soldiers. The Emperor puts forth all his strength. The whole south moves. Conscripts from Kadir and Dawa, wild riders from Yashtavit, fierce savages from the jungles of Shamir, where men and women fight side by side. They all come northwards, coming here to fight for the Emperor.
So many, just to take Dagothka?
And more besides. The Emperor has built himself a navy, 100 sail of great ships.
The Gurkish are no sailors. The Union controls the seas.
The world changes, and you must change with it or be swept aside. This war will not be like the last. Khalul finally sends forth his own soldiers. An army many long years in the making. The gates of the great temple fortress of Sarkant are opening, high in the barren mountains. I have seen it. Mamun comes forth, thrice blessed and thrice cursed, the fruit of the desert, first apprentice of Khalul. Together they broke the second law. Together they ate the flesh of men. The 100 words come behind, eaters all, disciples of the prophet, bred for battle and fed over these long years, adepts in the disciplines of arms and of high art. No peril like it has faced the world since the old time, when Juvans fought with Canadius. Since before that, perhaps, when Glustrod touched the other side and sought to open the gates to the world below.
And blah, blah, blah. A shame he had been making surprising sense for a magus. You want to give me information? Keep your bedtime stories and tell me what happened to Devoost.
There is an eater here. I smell it. A dweller in the shadows. One whose only task is to destroy those who oppose the prophet.
And myself the first of them?
Your predecessor never left these chambers. The eater took him to protect the traitor who works within the city.
Yes, now we speak my language. Who is the traitor? Gloctor's voice sounded shrill, sharp, greedy in his own ear.
I am no fortune-teller, cripple. And if I could give you the answer, would you believe me? Men must learn at their own pace.
Ah, snapped Gloctor. You are just like Baez. You talk and talk, and yet you say nothing. Eaters? Nothing but old stories and nonsense.
Stories? Did Baez not take you within the Maker's house?
Gloctor swallowed, his hand clinging, trembling tight to the damp stone under the window.
Yet still you doubt me? You are slow to learn, cripple. Have I not seen the slaves march to Sarkant, dragged from every land the Gurkish conquer? Have I not seen the countless columns driven up into the mountains, to feed Khalul and his disciples, to swell their power ever further? A crime against God, a breach of the second law written in fire by Eos himself. You doubt me, and perhaps you are wise to doubt me, but at first light you will see the Gurkish have come. You will count 5 standards, and you will know I spoke the truth.
Who is the traitor? Hissed Gloctor. Tell me, you riddling bastard! Silence, but for the splashing of rain, the trickling of water, the rustling of wind in the hangings about the window. A stroke of lightning threw sudden light into every corner. The carpet was empty. Yulway was gone.